welcome back to Switch to Linux. It is Monday and it is time for another Linux Top 5. Well, today we're not going to be doing a Linux Top 5 as much as maybe a web hosting Top 5. As you may know, I am a web developer by profession, and today I actually want to talk about the top 5 criteria to use to evaluate a web hosting platform. So there is no perfect web host. Even the people I'm working with now are not absolutely perfect, but I'm going to give you some general trends, some things to watch out for, maybe tell a few little horror stories about which web hosting companies to use. And I actually have affiliate links for 4 different web hosting companies. I will list all 4 of those in the description below, and I will actually talk specifically about 2 of them and why I recommend them. Now, I never recommend companies just on the basis of how much they get paid and, or how much they pay for recommending their products. I think that there's a lot of damage in the affiliate marketing world in that respect, and a lot of fluff reviews based upon the money somebody gives you rather than that. And so you won't see affiliate links from groups that I've tried or know about that are problematic. I will only give links for things that I think are actually good and worthwhile services. And actually, I've settled on using only 4. I'm not going to have tons more than that. I've essentially picked only 4 web hosting companies to affiliate. We're going to talk about 2 of those at the very end. So with that being said, we want to dive in and look at the 5 criteria that I'm going to look at when I evaluate a hosting company. So hopefully this helps you out if you're looking at switching hosting companies, or if you're looking at getting a hosting company. And it could just be to host a website. It could be that you want to host your own email. It could be you want to do something like create your own URL shortener, which I will be doing a video on later on this week, will be posted. There's a lot of things that having your own hosting account or web server could be useful for. So this list hopefully will help you determine the best ones to get. Number 5, avoid EIG. What's that? Well, there is a company out there that they buy up as many of the small hosting companies as they can. They are called Endurance International Group. And for the most part, the servers that they run are okay. It's not like they run horrible servers. The problem is every single time they take on a new company, they consolidate all their staff down, the support goes terrible, and they turn into an upselling nightmare. And we're going to talk about that next. But this company over the years, as I started in this career and having my own hosting services and hosting accounts, I started out with Bluehost, which was a good independent company at the time. They were bought by EIG, and then they just kind of went to hell, and it was just such horrible service. So I eventually switched to HostGator, and I ran with HostGator, and they were like wonderful for a couple of years, and then they were bought by EIG, and then they went downhill. So maybe it's just don't buy the services I use because they're bought up by Endurance International Group. Well, that's not really entirely the case. The fact is that when I deal with companies now and I talk to them, I always ask them, are you on the radar? Are you on their radar? Have you ever had any communications? A lot of the people you'd be talking to on the phone may not actually know what I'm talking about or anything else, but there are a number of companies that do discuss it internally because it does do a bad job to the name of many companies. So this this company, what they do is when they buy up the services, they never rebrand anything, and so you never know. And so if you're already on a service like Bluehost, like I was, and then you notice that the service just goes downhill, you're like, I want to buy another service. So you look online, you'll find all these reviews like, oh, HostGator, they seem pretty good. And then you jump from Bluehost over to HostGator, they're owned by the same company. They have the same service. They have the same support. They are in their servers are in different locations. Bluehost is out of Provo, and their servers are in Provo. HostGator is out of Houston. Their servers are in Houston. But the same company runs all of it, and so they have a centralized support hub. And so when you call them up, it goes to a centralized support hub, and we'll get into a little bit more of that later on as well. It's very hard to figure out which companies are owned by Endurance. So anytime I'm evaluating companies, I actually have to go and find the most up-to-date list. So this is as of September 2017. And this is some information about the company. You know, they were really profitable. They're actually a very big publicly traded company. So you can see there, you know, in EIG, EIGI. And these are the list of their hosting companies. They own a ton. And they also own things like Envato, which runs Theme Forest, which have started to even populate even non-EIG companies' control panels through things like Softaculous, where they're still trying to upsell a bunch of stuff. So it's hard to get away from these guys, but I would avoid it at all cost. It tells you here what some of their accounts are when they took them over. Of course, you can see HostGator 2012. I want to say it was like 2011 or something is when I jumped from Bluehost over. So Bluehost 2011. So I think it was right around 2011 is when I jumped ship over to HostGator, and then it just got bad. And the reason I finally left is their support got so bad. I bought an SSL for my site, and I paid them the $10 fee for them to install an SSL because they don't let you do that. Even though I had a WHM account and all that kind of fun jazzy stuff, I could not install my own SSLs. After a week, my SSL was still not installed. I demanded them to refund me back the price of the installation fee. Of course, I was still out the price of having to buy the SSL, but I never got my site fixed. That's the problem with dealing with the Endurance International Group branded websites. So avoid this company at all costs. Number 4, avoid the major upselling companies. Okay, so we looked at the Endurance International Group companies, and they do upsell a fair amount, depending on which company. Some of them upsell more, some upsell less. The ultimate king of upselling garbage is GoDaddy, beyond a doubt. I cannot tell you how many times I was working with a client, they hand over their server information because whatever else, and I look at all the server information, and they're paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars a year to GoDaddy for services that are not even set up. If you buy an SSL from GoDaddy, it's not instantly in your account. So you sit here, you don't really know what you're doing, you pick up an account, and they upsell you to the ultimate Linux hosting account, which is a very expensive account, which most people do not need, because that's what you need if you're getting like 10,000 views a day. Most websites, if you get a couple hundred views a day, you're in good shape. And a couple hundred views a day can be supported on a very simple, very cheap shared hosting account. Okay, if you're getting thousands and thousands of views a day, you want to get something more and pay for a little bit more. But GoDaddy they just upsell you the greatest and biggest account. But still, the account they give you does not come with a lot of things. They're still charging you for the SSLs. They're charging you for business directory listings. They're charging you for I think like advanced domain protection, advanced domain privacy. I saw one company who was a poor little nonprofit that didn't know any better. They had a store that was in there. They had an SSL. People were buying these services and never set them up. For 7 years, they've been paying GoDaddy over $500 a year for services that were not even ever set up. Imagine that, having paid for $100 for an SSL. I think it's $74.99 for the SSL. Plus, they also charge you for a dedicated IP address, so it's an extra, I think that's extra 24. So it's about $100 extra for an SSL. You bought your hosting, you bought your SSL, you think you're secure because you don't know what the difference is. The SSL sits on your GoDaddy account, constantly being auto-renewed, and is never even applied to your account. It's never even set up. I've seen that over and over and over again. They're not the biggest. They're not the only one. They're the biggest one. They're also going to do your site lock. So site lock, this is a scam. You find this in a lot of the EIG groups because they're partnered with the EIG, but also with GoDaddy. This is a big upsell thing. It's like, put this on your website. It'll give your users more trust in your website. I got news for you. You wouldn't believe how many of these types of things. I've just added the pictures to the websites because that's what the customer wanted. Whatever. You're paying the bill. I should do a tell-all book, how to avoid website scams. But basically, this goes out from the hosting account what happens is SiteLock has an agreement with the hosting account that the email is being shared because they're a third-party affiliate. And what happens is you'll get an email. This one originated from a HostGator account, but this will come from HostGator, Bluehost, GoDaddy, whoever. And it's like HostGator / SiteLock security alert. Dear SiteLock customer, whether or not you are a SiteLock customer, and my name is, whatever, and I'm a security consultant here at a SiteLock website security. We are reaching out because one or more of your domains you own has malware on it, and the issue needs to be resolved. As a website security provider, you do not have the appropriate level of security to remedy / remove or prevent these issues. This is their upsell. So the upsell is you pay them money, a monthly fee or sometimes an annual fee, and it's a fair amount of money, and that does not even fix the problems. That just alerts you there's problems to fix. You have to pay them more money to allegedly clean the site. Now, the only advantages with the SiteLock is your website is quote-unquote scanned for malware. Well, if you're running WordPress, WordFence does the same thing for free. And really, the other things is set up Google Webmaster Tools on your website, because Google does this for free too. They will email you if there's a problem, and they actually give you information, and guess what? How to fix it. So the email is actually disingenuous, because if you have access to the control panel, you can fix the issues. Usually it's a file server hack or it's a database hack, and it's actually weak security on behalf of the hosting company that actually causes it. So this is another reason. GoDaddy accounts very frequently hacked. HostGator accounts also, I've seen an uptick in hacks of HostGator and Bluehost accounts as well. So I've seen a lot of those. So definitely avoid the upselling companies, because they're upselling you crap you don't need. Number 3, look for CPanel. So CPanel is a hosting control panel that it's kind of becoming an industry standard. It's very easy to use, especially for a novice. Fortunately now, nearly everybody will have an option to use this. There's a few that don't, but most of them do now. GoDaddy added this support a couple years back, which actually caused their servers to get decent for a while. And of course, pretty much all of your EIG groups generally have this as well. The older ones like 1-in-1 Hosting and a few other ones out there don't have CPanel yet, but you want to look for a CPanel account. It's just the easiest. Everything is all in one conglomeration, and you don't get lost in all sorts of settings to go all over the place to figure out over here. Like I was just logged into a client's portal for 1-in-1 today, and you had these different stuff going all over the place, and there was really nowhere where I could see basic server information, like what is the IP address of my server, how full is my file server, how do I add a subdomain into this, how do I manage the SSLs, how do I manage all these types of things. So these are all important things to look at, and CPanel just makes it very nice and concise. Now, if you're like a server admin, you're probably happier just SSL or SSHing into a terminal and, just using that, in which case you want to use something like DigitalOcean, which I'll have an affiliate link for that down below. But for the most part, looking for CPanel, if you're a novice, it's just so easy to use, it's very secure, and it's becoming an industry standard. So pretty much any hosting company you want is going to have this. You just want to keep an eye out, make sure that you're getting CPanel. Number 2, look for services that support a free SSL. Especially since right now Google is starting to downrank sites that do not have an SSL. Chrome and Firefox are both giving warnings if a site is not SSL. And so we have a lot of things in the industry pushing everyone to want to get an SSL. And so everyone's like, ooh, I need an SSL. Well, if you're on GoDaddy, you're out of luck. You got to buy it. Now, some of the VPS services on GoDaddy will support the free SSLs. Most of them do not. EIG companies, last I knew, none of them support a free SSL. I could be wrong. I have not evaluated all of them recently, but I was with HostGator last. They don't support free SSLs. So there are 2 free SSLs that are out there. And the most popular and older one is Let's Encrypt. And by older, I mean, I don't know, it's maybe a year or so older than the other one. These are kind of brand new. Let's Encrypt, it is free, it is automated, and it is open source. Okay, so basically you can, as long as your hosting control panel will support this and your hosting company supports this, it's a one-click option inside of your control panel. You say, I want this domain or this subdomain or whatever else to have an SSL. Many cases, it's just automatic. And so you would already have this as long as you have a right and appropriate host. This is so important. Now, I would not rely on the free SSL if you are collecting a lot of private personal data or certainly not credit card data through your own web portal. If you're redirecting to PayPal and letting them manage all that secure stuff, have at it. This is just fine. This is awesome for a basic blog or anything else where you want SSL so that your users aren't being alerted, oh, this site is insecure, which is kind of garbage. But that's the world we live in. So definitely pick up a free SSL because it's going to save you between $50 and $100 a year. The other company with free SSLs is Komodo. I didn't even know they had these until it was an option to turn it on in the control panels that I have. And I think I'm using the Komodos on mine. I can't remember for sure. But basically, as long as your web host supports it, you would either have one or the other of these. It's just an option in your control panel. You click the button, you toggle it on, and it will automatically install an SSL on your servers. So definitely look for a hosting company that supports a free SSL. Otherwise, you're going to be paying for it, and oftentimes they're also going to make you pay for a dedicated IP address, which is an additional cost. So make sure that you pick up a web host that has free SSLs. Before we get to my number one pick to look for, I'll remind you can check out SwitchedtoLinux.com/support for all the ways to help support the channel. Also, don't forget to check out the affiliate links for the web hosting companies I recommend in the description down below. And if you stick around after the number one, then I will go ahead and talk about those two companies and what I like about them. You can also check me out on Patreon, patreon.com/TomM. And you can pick up something like a mouse pad, a t-shirt, or I do have stainless steel coffee cups and water bottles, and among other things at shop.switchedtolinux.com. Number one, good phone support. The reason I want good phone support is sometimes I want to resolve stuff over email, but I really want to know that there's actually people who actually pick up the phone when you actually call. And I want to know I'm not going to sit on hold for an hour. Okay, that's been the problem. When I first got HostGator and Bluehost for that matter, you call them up and you were on the phone with somebody in less than 5 minutes and things were generally resolved. Once EIG took them over, it just became a nightmare. You'd call them up, you'd be on hold for hours. Literally hours. It was so bad. And then when you did finally reach somebody, they just had, I mean, it was like talking to a bum on New York City. They had no idea what they're talking about half the time. And for somebody who knows what's going on in the web server, but simply doesn't have the root access to handle it, this became a big problem. So definitely look for hosting companies that have a good call-in phone number. You can call them up. You want to call them up. I call them up, go through the sales, and I chat with the guys for a little bit. I want to get a feel for who I'm working with, and then I'll make the decision whether to work with them or not. The unfortunate thing about this hosting world is that companies change, they get bought, they get sold, some get better, some get worse, and so you might have to change and migrate things throughout. And I didn't even mention things in the CPanel system. Make sure that you have the ability to make easy backups, whatever else. I should have mentioned that in the Upsell thing because that's one of the things Bluehost does. They disable the ability to take a backup of your system so they can upsell you the backup. Bad. But with good phone support, if there is an issue, because, you know, if there's something going on goofy on your server, you can't send out an email and wait 24 hours or 48 hours for a reply. You need to get somebody on the phone and get it fixed. So having good phone support is certainly one of the better things you want to do. All right, so who do I recommend for hosting companies? Well, the one that I'm using right now is A2 Hosting. Check out the affiliate link in the description down below, which is tlm.li/A2H. So you can go ahead and look at what they have to offer you. So they'll have simple plans starting at $4 a month. Now, most hosting companies, I think the two I'm going to recommend here, do this. You know, the first year you buy something, it's going to be cheaper, and then the renewal is a little bit more. What I like about A2 is you can buy, I think, up to 3 years locked in at the price. So if you have the extra money laying around, you can pick up 3 years for it locked in at this super low price. And then you can renew it. I can renew mine pretty low price on a biannually. So A2 does give you great discounts on your renewals if you buy up front. If you're buying monthly, obviously it's a little bit more expensive. So it kind of depends on how you want to run it. But I'm currently using A2 hosting for my servers and sites. I also use this for my clients' websites right now. I actually do offer a hosting package for my clients. And it's a full managed hosting package, so they never have to touch anything, but everybody gets their own control panel. I do all that through A2 hosting. So I highly recommend this company. They do have great phone support, 24/7 phone support. They have good email support. So I really do like this company. The other one I'm recommending is SiteGround. The only reason I chose not to use SiteGround when I reestablished my new ones is because their VPS servers were quite a bit more expensive and slightly less featured. But the shared hosting, the shared platforms for your low entry level, these are absolutely amazing on SiteGround. We were using these with one of my clients where we worked with a variety of different companies. We pushed all of them through SiteGround accounts because they were just so friendly, so easy to use, cheap, and they did support the free SSLs and all the other fun stuff. So those are the two companies here. I also have affiliate links in the description below for InMotion Hosting and for DigitalOcean, so you can check out those 4 affiliate links in the description down below. SiteGround's affiliate link is tlm.li/SGH. Okay, so you can take a look at those in the description down below. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.